so today we're going to be talking about how to recover a boat from a capsize. Now, first, to get started, we need to discuss a little bit of terminology. Now, does anyone know what the difference between a capsize and a turtle is? Is that rhetorical? Glenn?
One's where the boat's upside down and one's where it's fallen over.
Alright, which one's which?
The turtle is upside down.
Yeah, exactly. So, I drew a little diagram here to show you how it looks. And so, as you can see, the turtle has the mast underwater, pointing straight down, and the capsize has it horizontally. So, the capsize is 90 degrees, but from the upright position, and the turtle is 180 degrees flipped over. So, when we say someone is capsizing, we have the mast from going straight up to 90 degrees across the water. So that's what we'd say when someone is capsizing. However, the turtling, it's going from a capsized position to a turtle position, where the mast is vertically downwards. Now, as you could probably guess from seeing this, a capsize is a lot easier to recover from than a turtle. So ideally, we want to make sure that we stay in a capsize and stop the boat from turtling. Now, there's 5 steps to recovering from a capsize. The first step, so what's going to happen is you're going to be sailing along, and let's say a gust of wind comes, and your boat just completely flips over, and you can't stop it. You tried to hold on, and you tried to balance the boat, but you're going to have to fall into the water. So the first thing you want to do is let go, because you try to hold on to the boat, you're just going to make it worse. You're going to make it go into a turtle. So the first step, when you fall into the water, is check if everyone is okay. And this is because when you're capsizing, usually it's not voluntary. Usually you're doing it by accident, and someone could, like, for example, fall on the mast, or their leg got caught in something, and someone could get injured really easily unintentionally. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that everyone in the boat is okay. So everyone, you just say, I'm okay, and you ask your friends if they're okay. And if anyone isn't, you need to instruct a coach, or flag down a coach, or blow your whistle as fast as you can, because this can be very serious. Yeah?
What if I don't have a coach?
Oh, you should always, if you're on the water, you should always have a coach in a motorboat with you. You should never be going out sailing alone, so don't worry about that. Secondly, the second thing we want to do is as fast as we can. As I said, we don't want the boat to turtle, right? So the second step, what do you think we want to do now? Any ideas? Well, what we want to do is we want to stabilize the boat so that it doesn't turtle. Now, what we do to stabilize the boat is, here's what your boat's going to look like if we look at it horizontally. You're going to have your dagger board here and your sail right there. Sail's a little off. But the idea is that you want to go around to your dagger board. Does everyone know what the dagger board is?
It's the steering mechanism.
No, but close. It's sort of like that. It's flat, stationary board that goes on the bottom of your boat that sticks directly perpendicular to the boat. And we use it for 2 things: keeping the boat to go straight while you're sailing, and to help recover your boat from a capsize. So to stabilize the boat, you're going to want to have one of your crew go to the back of the boat and hold on to the dagger board. This will make sure that the boat doesn't go down and turtle, because we don't want that, because that's a lot more difficult to recover from. Alright, the second thing we want to do is, while one person is at the back of the boat, holding onto the dagger board, making sure the boat doesn't turtle, the other crew should be at the front of the boat and uncleating any sheets. So a sheet is any rope that is used to control a sail. And the reason why we want to do this is because the wind's still blowing, right? So when we get our boat back up, if a sheet is cleated, then the wind is likely going to catch the sail, and the sail is going to catch power. So right as you right the boat, your boat's going to start sailing away, and that's going to be a huge problem. So what we want to do is, by including the boat, the sheets, it's less likely that the sails will catch wind. Now, the fourth thing we want to do is also similar to what we do. We want to turn the boat a certain direction. Does anyone know which direction we want to turn it?
Upright?
No, what we do is we want to turn it into the wind. And the reason we want to do this is to make sure that when we tip the boat up, it doesn't catch any wind. We don't start sailing away. It's like step number 3. So we want to make sure that when the boat comes up, we're facing the wind, because you know you can't go into the wind, right? So when your boat turns up, it'll just stay still. Your sails will up. They won't catch anywhere. So, and what we want to do is, so one person is still going to stabilize the boat. To turn the boat into the wind, one crew should go to the bow and push the boat. What do you guys think the fifth step is? Any ideas? Well, this one's a little bit of a hard one. A lot of people forget it. And it's really important, though. Sometimes your dagger board will get pushed into the boat. But that's not good for us, because if it gets pushed into the boat, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to right the boat. So the person who's stabilizing the boat and holding onto the dagger board needs to pull out as hard as they can to make sure that the dagger board is fully extended outward. Now, okay, I'm just going to take a second to write these down, just to give you guys a little visual. So usually when you're sailing, you're going to have two people on the boat. So we usually want one person stabilizing the boat at all times to make sure it doesn't go into a turtle, and then one person doing like the other things, like uncleating the sheets and facing the boat into irons. Now, the last couple steps actually involve righting the boat. Now, once you extend the dagger board, you're going to want to, the person who's stabilizing the boat is usually the person who's going to climb up onto the dagger board. So you're going to be in the water here, and you're going to climb up and stand on the dagger board. And now what you're going to do is you're going to put your hands right here on the gunnels, and you're going to lean back. And as you'll notice, the boat will slowly start to heel straight up. And this is how you right your boat. Now, sometimes if you're light, you're going to need two people to do this on bigger boats. But usually on like a smaller dinghy, like a Laser 1, you only need one person to do this. Now, once the boat is righted up, we're going to want to make sure we hold on to the boat in case it sails away, and we need to re-enter the boat, obviously. But we have to do that at a specific place. We want to enter from the back. And the reason why we want to do this is because if we enter from the sides, we're likely going to tip the boat over again. And this is especially if it's a windy day. So we want to go to the back of the boat and enter through what we call the transom, which is the back. And that way, they won't tilt the boat as much. Now, what you can do is while one person's holding the boat, stabilizing it, the other person can be at the back of the entering. And once the person enters, they can then stable the boat from the inside and then make it sure it's stable as the other person enters through the back. We also want to do this one at a time, because if we both try to get into the boat at the same time, it's probably going to tip. I also have a couple of tips for you guys. So sometimes when you're righting the boat, it's going to flip over on the other side, because if you're leaning out all the way on this side, that way, your boat may just completely do a 180 to the other side, and we call this a death roll. And essentially, to avoid that, you can have one person on this side, swimming over here, and as the boat is coming up, they grab the other side, and the two of you on each side can stabilize the boat to make sure that it doesn't tip over again. Now, also there's one thing we can do called a dry recovery, and that is, on certain boats, like a Laser, and this only works on certain boats, you can essentially tip and still remain dry. So what happens is, while you're tipping, you can feel the boat going over, and at a point you'll realize, okay, it's going too fast and too strong, and the boat's going to tip. Then you simply step over the gunnel, because you should be sailing on the upward side. Step over the gunnel and stand on the dagger board. And then as the boat is flipping over, as you're righting the boat, you can once again step over the gunnel and back into the boat without even getting wet. However, this is really tricky, and I don't recommend you try it at first, because it's more prone to being tipping again and doing something like a deck roll. So, now we're going to watch a little video and see actually a capsize recovery. And we're going to see how they did it and if they did it well. he were to do dry roll, he would have stepped over the gunnel right there. But he didn't. So the first thing they're going to do, you can see they're talking, they're making sure they're okay, they're untangling themselves. A really good thing that they're doing right now is they're assigning roles. They're saying one person do this and one person do that, so they both don't end up going to do the same thing at the same time. Now, as you can see, the one person on the far side is stabilizing the boat, while the other is making sure that the boat is turning straight into the wind. And it's hard to tell because of the video where the wind's coming from, but as you can see, he's turning the boat so it's facing iron, which is directly into the wind. So right now he's making sure the boat's stable while his friend writes the book. And now he's going to begin to climb onto the dig board, and this pushes the boat up. And immediately what he notices is that the boat's tipping over again, so he immediately grabs it to stabilize it. And see how the sails are luffing and not catching wind? That's because they're facing directly into iron, so that the boat isn't flying, it's sailing away. Now notice how he's moving to the back of the boat before he gets in. And now he's going to stabilize his boat while his friend moves to the back and gets in. So how do you think they did? Do you think they did well?
I think it was a beautiful execution.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. One thing I didn't notice, and they may have done this, but they didn't do it obviously, is that they didn't check to make sure that their sheets weren't tangled or uncleated. But it all worked out great, and it looked like they did a pretty good job. Alright, to wrap this up, what we're going to do is we're going to play a game. As you guys can see, 1 through 8 is lined up on the wall, and I'm going to give you these cards which each have a step, and I want you to organize them to which steps do you think, which order do you think they should go in. No, I put a little bit of a trick in this one, so you're going to have to think.
Of course, this is no.
Because I showed you 7 steps, and now it's 1.
I think you have to untangle yourself before you can stabilize it, though, because if you're tangled, you can't stabilize.
Now, there's one step that might go before it checks if
Yeah.
everyone is okay. What do you guys think that might be? There might be one step that goes before it checks if anyone's okay.
Uncleat. This is obviously last. Of course.
Very good.
We need to untangle ourselves before we check if everybody's okay.
Yeah,
After,
right.
after.
So, one thing is you always want to make sure that you're safe. So it's good to look out for your pals, but you want to make sure you're safe too.
Of course. Then we need to stabilize it.
Perfect.
What is this? We need to uncleat and untangle our sheets.
Right
I'd
on.
say that next, and then this. But I don't know. I think we need to turn it before we pull and adjust the dagger board, though.
Well, actually, that's a good point. Those two are really interchangeable. Actually, you can do both of those at the same time. But traditionally, we'll say turning the boat comes first, and then we're going to put the boat into iron.
Yeah.
Alright, perfect, guys. Do you guys have any questions before we go?
I don't think so.
Alright, thanks, guys.